There's a crew in town, the head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear, the sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep, judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell, dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down, voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground, rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds, whisper tales of troubled minds, skeletons covering the mountainside, a treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies, moonlight couldn't match the cries, shadows caught in sunlit skies, there's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spill on down, voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground, rumors fly and they can't be
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. We are just a little bit in the late side this evening. My boys had a cross-country meet this evening, so we are jumping on a little bit late. How is everybody? Welcome to the show. I shared it over on Facebook too, so we'll probably have more jump on as it goes. Man, Mrs. Elizabeth should have degrees in journalism, teaching, auditing, private detective work, and several more. I'm so loving this channel. I am getting ready to apply for my private investigator license. I am. I'm going to do it. I'm going to apply for it. I looked into it a long time ago, but I thought whenever I looked into it that you had to carry like a $1 million bond, insurance bond on yourself to do it. And at the time, I sure didn't have the money to carry that. But somebody was talking to me about it not long ago, and they sent me the application, and they said, you need to do this. And I said, well, yeah, but it's going to cost so much. And they were like, no, it's not. And they told me how much it did cost, and it's very reasonable, and I can do it. So I just have to do it. I just have to get my butt sitting down and do it. But so we'll just add another license on to the however many I got. Not that they've Well, we won't even say that. Okay. Hey, when can I buy a Muff Diver shirt? I'm going to get those done tonight. As soon as we get off the show, I'm going to get those put up. Muff Diver Motors at your service. Any of you who've not been watching the drama unfold on Facebook, you need to go to the home screen of the YouTube channel, and underneath, like where my picture and stuff is, it'll say like links, and you can open that up and it shows you the Facebook link, the TikTok link, the X, Instagram. We've got all of those links there. And you need to make sure that you go over to Facebook, because during the day, that is where all of the drama unfolds. That's where we get all of the threats. That's where we get, that's where we have all of our fun. We have reels and stories and posts over on the Facebook channel or page. So make sure you go over there. Now, tonight, I see the thumbnail. You see the title. Now listen, the Mountain Eagle newspaper was an award-winning newspaper. It was an award-winning paper at one time. Their building where they had their office was down the street from the courthouse years ago, and somebody set it on fire. They burned it down, as apparently, I guess they think, as a to scare them, to intimidate them, as retaliation for their reporting on stuff. And now recently we've got this, well, I don't know how recently. I don't know how long Sam Adams has been a reporter for the Mountain Eagle. But it used to be Ben Gish and Ben's wife. And Sam Adams has been doing a lot of the reporting, writing the articles and stuff. And that's who we see. So many people have went into, like, at different times, I've spoke to several people who have went into like the judge's chambers for whatever reason. And I can't tell you how many people said Sam Adams would be sitting in there in the judge's chambers, getting these scoops, getting these stories. And we've really had an eye-opening experience this past year since the judge has been shot. Now, I have seen over the years many people criticize the paper for the way that they've written certain articles or whatever. And I never really paid much attention to it. I noticed when people would criticize, but I wasn't a reporter, so I didn't really know what was going on. But I don't know what world we're living in anymore. But it sure feels like the Twilight Zone, okay? The Eagle that once had its building burnt to the ground because it was reporting on criminal behavior and corruption in Letcher County, things that people didn't want reported. The paper used to be a watchdog. It was a watchdog. Now it looks more like it's helping protect the very same people that it should be exposing. Think about it. A newspaper refusing to name names, refusing to report community problems when my name is involved. And we have example after example when I have been involved. So what if it's somebody else that he doesn't like me? I'm sure I'm not the only person that he doesn't fancy, right? We had all of this nightmare out here about these dogs. Not one word in the paper. He wrote an article on that the neighbors were upset with the Jenkins police chief, but he only wrote half of that story. And even though the neighbors told him, you need to talk to Elizabeth, no, he didn't want to talk to me. He never, not the first time has he ever tried to talk to me, even a year ago, never tried. He just made digs at me in the newspaper. He wouldn't say my name. He would just allude to me and take digs at me. The only time he would write my name or have anything, write a story that had anything to do with me, is if he would print a negative comment about my show in the Speak Your Piece, which is fine, honey. All publicity is good publicity, okay? But so there's that, right? When my name is involved, he refuses to name names, refusing to report community problems, as long as I'm in it. Taking digs at the folks, asking the hard questions instead of reaching out to me and saying, hey, Elizabeth, I see what you're trying to do. And we see that, the good. Let me try and help you. Is there anything I could do to help you? I wasn't a reporter. I was trying my best just to learn on the fly. There's a photographer guy. Ernie, I think is his name. Well, I remember whenever I first started photography and he would be at the ball games and I would go up to him and I was always trying to strike up a friendship with him to try and learn, how do you learn if nobody's willing to share any kind of information or share experience or share any kind of knowledge? No. He'd just stick his nose up in the air and walk off. He didn't want nothing to do with me either, which is fine. That's fine. But it really shows me the kind of character of people, It's the character of people. I could never treat somebody that way. I couldn't. Do you know how many people ask me stuff about YouTube? Well, what if I was like, get away. I ain't going to teach you. I ain't going to share nothing with you. You might take some of you might be competition. You might take some of my money. Well, if there's one photographer and you got 10 schools in a county or close to it, I think that there would be plenty enough business for everybody. But, it doesn't go that way. But anyway, the system closes ranks. Let me go back up here. I think I missed some of it. All right. So, think about it. Refusing to name names, refusing to report community problems, taking digs at folks asking the hard questions, and worse, when victims come forward, women who say they were coerced, abused, and trafficked. The system closes ranks. The courts, the lawyers, and now the press itself, all shielding the powerful. We're told to trust the justice system. But in what world is justice being served when the very people wielding it are the ones accused of committing these kinds of crimes? Hey, get out of there. Come on, get out of there. Get out of there. Come on, get out of there. Get her out of there. She's getting ready to knock all my cords over and everything. Okay, sorry. I had a dog problem. All right. But in what world is justice? Okay. That's organized crime. Plain and simple. No different than the mafia. They're just wearing suits instead of leather jackets. Now, let's talk about what this really looks like. They controlled the courtrooms from the top to the bottom. If you were a lawyer, a judge, or a jailer in this system, you had a financial and personal interest in how many men and women got locked up. Period. Those women weren't just inmates. They were a supply. And it wasn't just the women, it was the men and the women. Supply and demand. Think about it. Supply and demand. All anybody was that got arrested and took to jail was a supply. Excuse me. Ben Fields admitted sending Sabrina Adkins to his Uncle Bill Meade. A man, he's already been convicted of SMEX crimes. He's like, what, 85? And he's in prison now? He wasn't in prison then, but he is now. Sabrina said she did it because Fields told her to, and he promised her help on her charges. That's not just misconduct. That's SMEX trafficking. Judge Kevin Mullins is accused of walking downstairs to the jail, allegedly, picking girls he wanted and having them brought to his chambers, whether it was for rehab services or for his own gratification. That's human trafficking. The preacher man, he was supposed to be a liaison for treatment. Instead, he was sending X-rated videos of himself to women in rehab. These are the people deciding who goes to treatment and who stays locked up and who goes home. And while all this was happening, look at the money trail. We've got ARC, the rehab empire run by Tim Robinson, preacher man's boss. He was investigated by the FBI in 2023 for Medicaid fraud. We still have not heard any hide and hair of that investigation. It just kind of disappeared, dissipated, went away. Maybe one day they'll tell us whatever happened to it. And who was Robinson friends with? Kentucky Attorney General Russell Coleman. His office had to recuse itself from that investigation. And yet somehow we've never heard a word. ARC has shuttered Kentucky facilities and is moving into other states to drain their systems next. They've already drained the Kentucky Medicaid system. So now they shut down and run away when the police are calling. We'll go down to Virginia and West Virginia and we'll set up shop there. And now we've learned what not to do from Kentucky. So now we'll go on down to these other states and we'll take their Medicaid. We'll take advantage of those states, the taxpayers. Well, they buy mansions and airplanes and cars. You got to have them hillbilly, what are they called? Oh, a hillbilly Rolls Royce, baby. You need a Chrysler 300 that's bright blue. That's what you need. Okay. Now, this was arrogance on display. They thought they had an endless supply of vulnerable women. No more shoving cash in their face. No more throwing money at them, throwing it in their face for a quick favor. No. Now they had a system to funnel girls right into the jail, right on out to house arrest, right on out to the rehab center, and keep them dependent on men in power who demanded smacks in exchange for freedom. That's not just corruption, ladies and gentlemen. That is slavery dressed up as justice. And then look at the protection that prosecutor Edison Banks' little home health aide, she was pulled over in his 2013 Tahoe. I think it was a 2013, but it was a Tahoe nonetheless, with all varieties of drugs in a secret compartment in the prosecutor's vehicle. Oh, yeah, he had a secret trafficking compartment in his vehicle. He got his vehicle back. Nobody ever said a word, not one word, other than Mickey Steins. Now, Mickey Steins did try and push well, she was charged. He tried to push the investigation, the prosecutors. It was his office that investigated. They did their job. They sent it all into the lab. They did everything that they were supposed to do. Edison Banks, of course, he recused himself. But they just sent it on over to Bell County, to the prosecutor over there, and she did a joint motion with Daniel Dotson and dismissed Little Miss Thing's charges. So they went bye-bye. They hid her in all these rehabs. They just send her from one to the next, and they just hid her. H-I-D, hid her. So then she just never had to show up for court. That was awful convenient. Sheriff Mickey Steins tried to push that case, and now he's the one on the chopping block. I mean, he kind of put himself up there, He put himself up there. I mean, he might as well walked himself up and laid down and just laid his head right on down for the chopping block. He did that to himself. Did they silence him, though? Did Steins know too much about the trafficking and the deaths, the many, many deaths? I'm learning more and more every day. Very suspicious deaths, very suspicious activities all the way around. But, when you don't have any watchdogs in the area, when you got people that protect this activity and this behavior and these crimes, which is what they are, they're crimes. Okay. Was he punished? Was Mickey punished for trying to push back? And through it all, the Mountain Eagle, the same paper that once risked everything to tell the truth, is running interference. Now they're letting the preacher man and Bert Sloan, the former jailer, lead the charge. Yeah. I reckon there's a huge story. There's going to be a lot of dirt come out tomorrow. So look for that. The Mountain Eagle is running interference for the preacher man, it looks like. They're protecting judges, preachers, politicians, while putting victims on the front page to humiliate them. Remember Tasha Reed? She said in a TikTok video recently that when she refused to give the paper her story, she said that they asked her for her story about Judge Mullins. And when she refused to give that to them, they plastered her all over the front page of the paper like she was some big thief. That's not reporting. That's intimidation, is what that is. So here's my question for the Mountain Eagle. Who else are you protecting? Why are you shielding the predators while taking swings at the truth tellers? Folks, what we are looking at here is organized crime in the mountains. Plain and simple. They control the courts. They control the jails. They control the rehab pipeline. And now they control the press. That's not democracy. That's not justice. That's the freaking Twilight Zone. All right. Now, we're going to move on to the second part of the lawsuit that we were reading last night. And we're also going to talk a little bit more about Preacher Man and Muff Diver, Mr. Muff Diver Motors, baby. Oh, yeah. His wife got in on it this morning, which is just wonderful. Like, all right. Well, let's look at what WKYT, or no, WYMT. I'm sorry. Wrong paper. Will you turn that off? We are going to see what they said about the ruling. District Judge Robert Weir. Now, Robert Weir is, I have seen him as a judge before on cases that were local cases. And so we have a little bit of experience seeing his, rulings and stuff. So that's first thing that I'm caught. He ruled that a civil case involving government officials in Letcher County can proceed to trial. But now this is going to be the one on Sabrina. The case stems from complaints filed against a former court security officer for the Letcher County Sheriff's Office. According to court documents, Sabrina Adkins was jailed in the Letcher County Jail from April through June of 21. Adkins claims that Ben Fields, a former officer, coerced her into sexual acts before he was assigned as her home incarceration officer following her release from jail. Adkins said the incidents happened after she told Fields that she was concerned about being able to pay for her home incarceration ankle monitor. According to court documents, Fields reportedly told her that they could work something out. The documents go on to say that Fields asked Adkins to meet him in District Kevin Mullins' chambers on multiple occasions. Now, see, I don't think he asked her to meet him in the chambers. Like, Sabrina didn't just go and on her own to the judge's chambers and met him there. No, he had to lead her. He physically had to lead her into the chambers. So, and look, this is WYMT. So I think a lot of this kind of stuff is happening. Adkins told officials that during those meetings there was forcible kissing and other sexual contact between her and Fields. Another plaintiff noted in the lawsuit is Jennifer Hill, 44, who died in 2023. Very suspiciously. I think that it really deserves a super investigate. Well, not super, but a real investigation into her death. You know, I mean, I just feel like so much of this stuff is ignored and is, you know, they're acting like it's no big deal. None of this stuff is any big deal whatsoever. No, we'll just let it all blow over. People are dying. You know, you don't want to know where the drugs are coming from, or you already do know. I mean, listen, it makes perfect sense why nothing is happening, doesn't it? It makes perfect sense. They cannot be this incompetent. In her complaint, Hill claimed to have a similar situation with Fields when he was assigned as her home incarceration officer. She shared several instances in which she claims she was coerced and compelled to comply with Fields' instructions, given this position of power over her. Another party involved in the case is the Mickey Steins. Steins is accused of shooting and killing Letcher Judge Kevin Mullins inside chambers. Just 3 days before the shooting, Steins gave a testimony. Following the position, several county officials, including Mullins, noted that Steins' behavior had changed. Adkins' claims of sexual coercion and assault will go before a jury, along with her argument that the Letcher County Sheriff's Office and a private monitoring company failed to properly train and supervise employees. Judge Weir dismissed other pieces of the lawsuit. This is what I wanted to read off of this because I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what it meant and what it didn't mean. You know, and which parts were dismissed and which parts weren't. I don't know. So, hopefully we'll understand. And Jenny told me a little bit today, but she hadn't had a chance to read through the whole thing either. She's going to come on the show, though, and give us her breakdown of this just as soon as we can get her on here. She's busy. Judge Weir dismissed, including claims of negligence and emotional distress, and ruled that all claims brought by Jennifer Hill came too late and could not continue. Fields previously pleaded guilty in a related criminal case to R-word, S-word, tampering with a monitoring device, and perjury. In the civil case, he continues to argue that the relationship with Adkins was consensual. Okay. I don't even know why he's arguing that. Don't know. The judge said it will be up to a jury to decide whether those encounters were consensual. I mean, statute already says, it already shows they're not allowed to do that. I don't understand why Michael Clark isn't being brought up on charges, other than they just don't want to and that they are protecting him. Because no way, as many women that are coming forward, now there's some coming forward saying they were forced, that he allegedly forced himself on them. So whenever they said no. So, this is getting more and more and more out there, and there are victims that are begging for an investigator just to come talk to them. Just come talk to them. They'll tell them everything. So tonight, before the paper comes out with whatever they cooked up, we're putting the facts on the table. Okay? Quick refresher. Well, we already went through that. I don't need to retell it. But here's what we've learned since, and what Mountain Eagle reporter Sam Adams doesn't want you to see. So multiple community people told us that Sam Adams was a friend of Judge Mullins. And two people have said that Edison Banks told them before he died, he told them that Judge Mullins and several of his buddies, in which one of them is allegedly the newspaper man, were seen going down into the jailer's office with Mullins to allegedly watch the jail cameras of the women in their women's cell. Now, I've also had former employees of the jail tell me personally, completely separate, and this was about 6 months ago, 5 or 6 months ago, former employees told me, one in particular, that Judge Mullins himself called down to the desk, to the jail, and said, "Hey, I like that redhead down there. Why don't you send that redhead on up here, up to my office?" "Well, Judge, we don't have no redhead down here." "Oh, yeah, you do. Oh, yes, you do, too. You got that real pretty little redhead down there with them wearing them glasses." "Well, Judge, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know which one you're talking about. We haven't gotten any new redheads in jail." "Oh, no, that ain't the one I'm talking about," he allegedly said. He said, "Well, Judge, the only one we got down here is so-and-so's wife," which was a employee at the courthouse. He said, "Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. You send her right on up here. Don't worry, her old man won't care." Uh-huh. That ain't the only one we've heard. We've heard many, many, many stories like that. But we won't name witnesses on camera tonight. We'll protect them. But we'll tell you what they saw, or at least what they say they saw. A SMEX video featuring a local community liaison preacher circulated among women in local treatment programs. That video was shared around I covered it publicly after redacting the explicit parts. I did that to show the community what kind of people we are sending our children to rehab with. Children, parents, brothers, sisters, aunts. They're all somebody's child. Now, the paper and Adams are allegedly preparing to send out something tomorrow. So we'll just see what it is. But here's the truth. We redacted explicit content and reported alleged criminal behavior. We did not exploit victims. We exposed an alleged predator. So what's the real story? Two pieces. The system protecting its own. The federal ruling shows meetings in Judge Mullins' chambers where power was abused. That's on the record. Local media looks like it's protecting insiders. The Mountain Eagle reporter has ties to the courthouse. And when it comes to stories that touch people like him, the paper suddenly goes quiet. That's not reporting. That's a cover-up. Now, we're not accusing people of crimes on this show tonight. We are saying there's a pattern. There's a video that circulated. There are witnesses. And there's a reporter who's printing little digs about us while refusing to print crimes when they involve his circle. Now, tonight, we're going to look at the rest of this. Let's see. Now, if Mountain Eagle or Sam Adams want to respond on camera, bring it. We'll put their statement up and we'll ask tough questions. Were you in the jailer's office watching cameras? Did you receive or forward any documents that would be of interest to us? Let's see. Why black out my name when the abused dog story involving our neighborhood and your readers were owed the whole truth? And one more time, folks. This is about protection and power. They'll try to intimidate people into silence and then print a story to shape the narrative. We're not letting them. We're not going to just lay down and stay silent. It's not going to happen. So, stick around. I've got names, dates, and on the record court ruling that shows what was happening behind courtroom doors, courthouse doors. We'll start with reading this lawsuit. All right, so let me get back up here to this other piece. Now, there was another lawsuit that, let me see if I can grab it real quick. There was another lawsuit that I mentioned last night. And that lawsuit, man, it was absolutely, I mean, some of the best lawyering that I think I've seen in a long time. Let me see. Kelwell lawsuit with versus Pike County. Oh no, I don't think it was versus the Pike County Jail. It was Kelwell. Let me grab it real fast. I should have did this already. Might be up here. Let me look here real fast. Yeah, here it is, I think. Yep. Here it is. Okay. So let me pull this up, and I want to read just a little bit of it. And just to finish this here, it says, the judge said it will be up to a jury to decide. Judge Weir has ordered both legal teams to file a joint status report no later than October 6th. So that will be coming soon. Now, this is the lawsuit that I was talking about here. Let me make sure. Yep, here it is. United States District Court of Kentucky, civil action, and it's got several plaintiffs. And then the defendants, Jordan Hall, Kelwell Food Management, Pike County Fiscal Court. And it's got the complaint, it's got the introduction, jurisdiction and venue, the parties, nature of defendant's conduct. This lawsuit right here, let me go back and look and see who the lawyers are that did it. Who is defending? It doesn't say. Maybe it's at the end of it. Johnson Law Firm, Pikeville, Kentucky. Johnson Law Firm, I think, is who the who's representing the plaintiffs, because that's who it is down here. To answer, the answer or motion must be served on the plaintiff or plaintiff's attorney, whose name and address. William Johnson. Yep, Johnson Law Firm. So that is who filed this lawsuit. And you talk about just a really, it flows very well. Everything in it is just, you know, bam, 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 bam. The lawsuit that that was filed on behalf of Sabrina Atkins, whenever we read through the first portion, the first half of it last night, we saw things in there that we're not going to see on WYMT. They're not going to tell you on WKYT. They're not going to tell you in the Mountain Eagle. No, because everybody wants to put Ned Pillersdorf, I guess, up on this pedestal about what a great lawyer he is. And I am just in shock. They did not apparently have a statement from Jennifer Hill. They didn't have a sworn statement from Jennifer Hill. They knew they had gotten her recorded statement. They never did get a sworn statement that they would have to file this lawsuit. Are you kidding me? Every time I would see another part of that last night that just kind of was like, made you go, I'm no lawyer now, but it only seemed to me like these were the girls' lawyers' mistakes. It sure wasn't the girls' mistakes. Ned and them knew they only had 1 year. Well, by what we read last night, Jennifer Hill's boyfriend is the one who it wasn't his fault, but his statement, I forget what you call it, his affidavit blew up her statute of limitations because it was a whole year before what she said. His affidavit said 2019. Hers said 2020. There were so many mistakes in that lawsuit. I don't even know how it got by this far. I'm in shock. And this lawsuit right here is one very well put together filing, I guess, is the only word I know to use. I'm not a legal. I'm not a lawyer. Let me pull that one down, and we're going to pull the one up that we were reading last night, and we're going to pick it up where we left off. All right. So we were reading last night Jennifer Hill's, and this is Sabrina's claims. Let's see. Based on the record, a reasonable jury could find that Adkins did not consent to the sexual contact with Fields based on the coercive factors present. First, the clearest example, the evidence of an exchange between Adkins and Fields, as admitted in his guilty plea. Fields did not require Adkins to wear her ankle monitor to pay her home incarceration fees in exchange for sexual favors. Upon her release to home incarceration, Adkins told Fields that she could not afford to pay for her ankle monitor. He responded that he could help her out, work something out. In that same conversation, Fields also commented that Adkins was pretty and had pretty legs, which a reasonable jury could find set the tone for a physical relationship. On multiple occasions, Adkins met with Fields in Judge Mullins' chambers, where Fields would attach her ankle monitor in advance of a court appearance and remove it after the appearance. These meetings in the consequential locale are also where the kissing, oral schmecks, and sexual intercourse occurred. The stakes were very high for Adkins. If she did not pay the requisite fee or wear her ankle monitor properly, she likely would have returned to the Letcher County Jail. She was terrified to return to the jail due to its very poor conditions. Ultimately, Fields held the strings on whether Adkins would return to jail. He held the strings for all of them, not just Sabrina. He held them for everybody. We've had women even say that when they went in front of the judge, whether it be Mullins or Kraft, both I think this happened with, the judge granted them house arrest, but Ben decided he didn't like that person. So he wasn't going to interview them or even let them do house arrest. So even though the judge had ordered these people were allowed to be released on house arrest, Ben just took it upon himself to no, I'll get to him eventually. And then he just never did get to him. There were several people he did that way, men and women. You think he's the only one? You think that isn't a common practice? I would hate to see how that jail, remember old Muff Diver, his old lady, I mean, are you joking? No, we're not joking. No, unfortunately, no. Indeed, he eventually wielded his power against her, filing a false criminal complaint against Adkins to cover up their arrangement. That act put Adkins back in jail, and nobody gives a damn. Nobody gives a damn that she was falsely arrested, that she had to lay another night on that concrete floor. I want to see Matt Butler's head lay on that concrete floor. I would love to see these people who act like they are so much above the law just have to spend one night, just one night in jail. I think they should probably have to do that as part of their training. Spend one night in the drunk tank just to know what it feels like. That's my own personal little thing there. I'd love to see that. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Thus, Fields' promise to help Adkins and his later circumvention of her home incarceration requirements in light of these stakes and in conjunction with the sexual activity are strongly indicative of coercion. You reckon? Adkins was a victim of Fields' adjudicated crimes. So, the argument in favor of consent is thin gruel. A reasonable jury could also conclude that evidence of Adkins's subjective experience indicates a lack of consent. Explaining that subjective intimidation was evidence that the encounters were not consensual. Adkins testified that she engaged in sexual conduct with Fields because it was the only way that she thought she would be okay on house arrest without paying. She also testified. Where was that pulled from? The deposition? Whose, though? Adkins testified that she engaged in sexual conduct because it was the only way that she thought she would be okay on house arrest without paying. She also testified that the sexual contact was her only option at the time, and that she did what she thought that she needed and had to do to stay out of jail. And she felt scared and terrified because of the situation. Still, other evidence also implies coercion. Where and when their interactions occurred suggest a coercive atmosphere. Adkins and Fields met after hours in a judge's private chambers in the courthouse. The county jail was in the basement. In the first instance of physical contact, Adkins testified that Fields forcibly kissed her and grabbed her and kissed her on the mouth. Such physical contact is an unmistakable marker of non-consent. Fields also bestowed gifts on Adkins, such as the cigarettes he bought to console her. Fields was criminally charged and pled guilty. Yeah, man. to third degree R and third degree S for his relationship with Fields. Good. Signifying non-consent and the role of his official power in these crimes. Taken together, a reasonable jury could easily conclude that the present coercive factors rendered the sexual contact between Adkins and Fields non-consensual. Let's see. To overcome the presumption of non-consent. I'm really confused at all this talk about consent when we already know that these women are not, like, they can't consent. If he is their supervisor over a house arrest program, how is there any consent? I am just blown away by this. Blown away by that part of it. And it seems like the court has, I guess, taken that consent off the table. Is that right? So it doesn't apply? Does anybody know? Does the PREA, does the PREA not apply here? I know it wasn't raised by Sabrina's lawyers. And I was told that she was told PREA didn't apply in this case. So that's very confusing to me. To overcome the presumption of non-consent, Fields points to evidence that Adkins admitted to making flirtatious comments to Fields and engaging Facebook messages and photographs with Fields that were sexual in nature. And she texted with Fields on a daily basis for a period of about 7 months. What about the grooming? Like, these were things, these were actions. See, that's where I'm totally confused. Because, well, I'm not really confused. I'm upset because the way that the interviews went with Matt Easter, it was all, the narrative was, oh, you saw an opportunity. And I feel like the court, this judge, sees it exactly the same way that Matt Easter saw it. We're just going to put it all off on the girls. They saw, instead of it being like, okay, well, we have to play the game. You know, it's not like she could have sat there and not engaged in the flirtatious comments. He started hitting on her first. It wasn't like she saw Ben and thought he was so irresistible and wanted to start flirting with him. That is not how that happened. And I think that this is just a shame. I think it's a shame. They are putting the blame on Sabrina, is what they're doing. And it doesn't matter. Listen, it does not matter. If Sabrina wanted to go to old Uncle Bill on her own, without any house arrest, supervisor, jailer, without any help of intervention or association with the jail or house arrest or anything. If she would have wanted to go sell herself to old Uncle Bill up the road, she could have done that, and that would not be sex trafficking. Not really. I mean, it's when you've got Ben saying, hey, oh, Uncle Bill, he likes pretty girls, and he can help you with your charges. Why don't you go up there and see old Uncle Bill? Be a good girl. Smack her on the tail. Go on up there and give old Uncle Bill some of that. He'd like to have some too. These men like to share. Ask Daniel Dotson. So she goes up there trying to get some help. And she said that he paid her. They like to pay for it too, allegedly. That's sex trafficking. And the fact that we have a governor's office that has an FBI, you've got an attorney general's office that has a sex trafficking task force, and you have a Kentucky State Police that has a sex trafficking task force. And I guarantee you, I'd love to talk to one of them. I would love to talk to the head dog of both of those task forces and ask them questions. I want to ask them questions. Tell me what it is. Let's give you some scenarios and you tell me if that fits sex trafficking or not. So if anybody's out there that is part of a sex or human trafficking task force and you would like to come on my show or you'd like to talk to me privately, please contact me, hillbillycrime@gmail.com. Other evidence suggests Adkins initiated the arrangement. Are you kidding me? Whoa, 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 whoa. Other evidence suggests Adkins initiated the arrangement. She stated that she heard from fellow inmates that women would give Fields sexual favors to get out of paying for their home incarceration fees. I don't think that's exactly how that went down. I think that they asked her if she had ever heard anything in the jail. Man, this is dirty. I think this is dirty, dirty, dirty. She also sent a message to Fields stating, listen, I have to work something out so I can enjoy my life. Finally, Adkins does not recall Fields making any physical threats against her. True enough, Adkins made certain expressions of mutuality to the person in control of her liberty. The jury can grapple with the power dynamics, Adkins's extremity, and Fields' behavior in resolving the question of consent. That is for the fact finder, not the court. Well, you wouldn't think so, the way this reads. I mean, I'm glad that he's sending it to the jury, but dang, man. Due to the conflicting evidence on the issue of consent, the court denies summary judgment as to Adkins's 14th Amendment claim against Fields. Adkins was on bond and the defense complains that she did not have pretrial detention status. She was on house arrest and thus in a margin between release and detention. The due process concept of bodily integrity also would apply in this context. To the extent there are questions about home incarceration as an equivalent to pretrial detention. To quote the circuit, This court has previously held that no rational individual could believe that sexual abuse by a state actor is constitutionally permissible under the Due Process Clause, and that a citizen has a clearly established right under the substantive component of the Due Process Clause to personal security and to bodily integrity. However, the court grants summary judgment as to Adkins's Fourth Amendment claim. If a constitutional claim is covered by a specific constitutional provision, the claim must be analyzed under the standard appropriate to that specific provision. Since the 14th Amendment covers Adkins's claim, the Fourth Amendment is superfluous and inapplicable. Regardless, the Fourth Amendment is meant to apply when evaluating the reasonableness of searches and seizures, and no evidence indicates that the sexual contact occurred during a search or seizure. Thus, the court dismisses the Fourth Amendment claim, which does not apply in concept and unnecessarily complicates the field. Field also raises a qualified immunity defense. Qualified immunity protects a public official from liability unless the official violated a statutory or constitutional right. Plop that right back up on my face. The right was clearly established at the time of the challenged conduct because there is a genuine dispute of material fact as to whether Fields violated Adkins's 14th Amendment rights. The court cannot find at this stage that Fields is entitled to qualified immunity. I can't believe that that is even being considered. Can you all? Qualified immunity for Ben Fields? What? The right was clearly established at the time of the challenged conduct because there is a genuine dispute of material fact. Oh, I already read that. Fields does not argue with any seriousness that coerced smacks by a law enforcement officer with a person under the officer's control would not clearly fall out of bounds. The court therefore denies summary judgment on this ground. State claims. I'm not going to read all of that. Let's get down here to official capacity claims. That's where they've replaced Mickey with Billy Jones. Federal claims. Let's see. I've got something written here that I'm going to read real fast. It kind of summarizes all this. Plaintiff is entitled to reasonable inferences and a view of the proof taken in her favor. She offers a supportive expert who carefully parsed LCSO's policies and compliance history. That expert noted Stein's individual unbecoming conduct, his utter failure to train on, or enforce the written policies, to include ethics, sexual misconduct, and citizen complaint processing. Well, my God, I could have done that. And the institutional climate Stein's fostered. Well, hell, I think I've mentioned every one of those things. Ultimately, expert Hilden opined that Stein's training failures facilitated Fields' conduct and contributed directly to the harm suffered. But yet Steins was not named in his individual capacity. So guess what? I think them lawyers screwed the pooch. Oh, yes, they did. They screwed the pooch real good for these girls. However, the Sixth Circuit recently explained to state a claim under this theory, the complaint must allege that a need for more or different training is so obvious and the inadequacy so likely to result in the violation of constitutional rights. Well, if you look at our Letcher County Jail today, I guarantee you old Muff Diver and his wife, the threat that we got this morning, she is writing on Facebook that she's going to make it hard for I guess for me if I come to jail. We're going to read it in a minute. It's just unbelievable. I cannot believe that there's not been an investigation into the Letcher County Jail. Can't believe it. Still. Just cannot believe it. All right. Let me get up here to the Kelwell. All right. So let me see here. All right. Now the Adkins and the Hill lawsuit, Letcher County, Judge Mullins context. This case centers on sexual misconduct and coercion by house arrest officer Ben Fields and court security officer Ben Fields, who supervised women on home incarceration. Testimony shows he met Adkins in Judge Mullins's chambers, removed and replaced ankle monitors, coerced her into sexual acts, and threatened her with jail if she didn't comply. Jennifer Hill's claims. The court ruled that her 1983 civil rights and related negligence, assault, and battery claims were time barred under Kentucky's 1-year statute of limitations. That's very, very important for all of us to realize. The statute of limitations is the biggest reason why Jennifer Hill's lawsuit has been dismissed. And so it kind of flies in the face. Why was it even filed then? Like, did the lawyers not even know this? I mean, there's so many things in this lawsuit that I feel like the lawyers that filed it should have known. Narrow targeting. Oh, wait a minute. Statute of limitations. Even though her fiance testified or wrote an affidavit, he knew Fields was coercing her in 2019. The lawsuit wasn't filed until 2022. That procedural issue sank much of her case. Narrow targeting. The lawsuit focused almost entirely on Fields. Judge Mullins, the jailer, or staff who processed ankle monitor fees were not named defendants, despite their proximity. The ruling even notes that Steins, the former sheriff, wasn't sued personally and was no longer an active party. Overall impression. The complaint reads less thorough, almost skeletal. It misses broader systemic culpability. Example, the chamber's setting, the jailer's fee practices, the courthouse staff. That's part of why it feels less professional. Now, the Kelwell lawsuit, the jail food services, the scope. This lawsuit attacked Kelwell Food Management's systemic role in providing substandard meals to inmates across eastern Kentucky. Style and substance. Drafted with broader class action framing, it named the corporate entity, detailed systemic abuses, tied in constitutional rights, and sought to hold a company accountable for ongoing policy failures. The language was polished with citations and structured claims. Legal posture. The Kelwell filing looked like a classic federal civil rights class action. Well-funded, expansive, and prepared for a long fight. Not like Pillersdorf's lawsuit. It looks to me like it was designed for a very short battle. Professional differences. The breadth. Kelwell was systemic, naming multiple actors, corporate, contractual, governmental responsibility. The Adkins Hill complaint was laser focused on one officer. Why? Because they didn't want an investigation on anybody else. Nobody can tell me that that was not fixed from the wrong side. That was fixed. I think that was fixed from both sides. And I've been saying it from day one. This is exactly what they do when you can't even trust your own freaking attorneys. I thought they're these big shot attorneys with all this experience. And from everything I've ever been told, that was Ned Pillersdorf's bread and butter class action lawsuits. If that's his bread and butter and he's got such great experience with this kind of thing, why the heck is that lawsuit in the shape that it's in? Why did they laser focus on Fields and not on the rest, on finding out? They already had Fields. They already had him. They should have got the whole freaking clique. Or at least took it seriously enough to attempt to investigate. Writing quality. You remember with the depositions for her case, for Sabrina's case? Those depositions were full of errors from the top to the bottom, from the beginning all the way to the end. It was the most unprofessional piece of work I think I've ever seen, for real. If that was mine, if I was a stenographer or whatever you call them, and my name was on that piece of work, and it was such a huge lawsuit, deposition, such an important one, I would be mortified if I had that many errors and mistakes in such an important document. Are you kidding me? Writing quality. Kelwell read like a law firm's flagship filing. Adkins read like a rushed or intentionally narrow personal injury claim. Targets. Kelwell went after a corporation. Adkins and Hill sidestepped, naming Judge Mullins, the jailer, Bert Sloan, or fee collection staff, Angie Fields, which would have raised bigger systemic and political stakes. But Judge Mullins was still alive at this time. He still controlled Eastern Kentucky. He was still the golden boy of the state. Let's see. It said my suspicion about control from the plaintiff's side. If Pillersdorf or another lawyer's hand was in this, it lines up with what's on paper. The complaint feels restrained, whether by design or by neglect. Now, what the ruling means. Procedural hurdles kill cases. The 1-year Kentucky statute of limitations is being used as a shield. Even if abuse happened, if plaintiffs didn't file fast enough, courts throw it out. Institutional protection. By not naming higher ups like the judge, the jailer, and court staff, the lawsuit avoids exposing the wider network of complicity. Systemic crime ignored. Eastern Kentucky's white-collar crime thrives because filings are narrowed, evidence is buried, and cases get tossed on technicalities. Bottom line, this ruling shows how nearly impossible it is to get accountability when judges, jailers, and officers are involved in misconduct. Powerful actors aren't even named, while victims' claims are shut down by statute of limitation defenses. Let's see, Eastern Kentucky is functioning as a white-collar crime capital of the world. Not because the crimes aren't real, but because the system is designed to protect itself. Now, official capacity, suing the office, not the person. It's basically suing the county or the government entity. Once the office holder changes, all right. Once the office holder changes, the new sheriff automatically replaces the old one as the defendant. That's why Billy Jones slid in when Steins left office. Individual capacity, suing the person themselves for their actions. That claim survives a change in office and can expose someone like Steins personally to damages, discovery, and depositions. By not naming Steins individually, the lawsuit guaranteed that he would be freed the moment his term ended. Nobody can tell me that they didn't know that. They already knew all of this. We were just the ones that didn't know. Because we're not lawyers. So we don't know. Now, could this have been planned? It's very possible. If the lawyer's intent was to protect Steins or the system around him, didn't have to be Steins, could have just been protecting the system, then filing in official capacity only was a clean way to guarantee this automatic substitution. If the lawyer wanted wiggle room, he could argue it was just a strategic oversight But given how obvious the distraction is, or the distinction is, it feels unlikely to be an accident. Civil rights attorneys know the difference like the back of their hand. End result: Steins walks away untouchable, no matter what discovery had already uncovered. And the spotlight shifts off of him entirely. Why it matters: it blocks personal accountability. Steins can't be forced to pay damages, and plaintiffs can't compel him to answer for his own role beyond what was already on record. It also narrowed the discovery. Plaintiffs couldn't dig into his personal communications, bank accounts, or direct decision making, since the claim was against the sheriff's office and not the man. The optics are clear: either incompetence, oh, either incompetence or intentional shielding. And given the pattern of protecting insiders in Eastern Kentucky, it does look like a setup to trigger exactly the outcome that I noticed. Now, how it fits the bigger pattern. This lines up with what I've been saying. Lawsuits are filed just enough to give the appearance of accountability, but strategically written to fail. By missing deadlines, narrowing defendants, or ignoring the most obvious bad actors, Mullins, jailer, fee collectors, it keeps the corruption buried while lawyers collect their fees and keep their standing in that club. All right. Whew. See, when you sue somebody in their official capacity, you're not really suing them. You're suing the office that they hold. So in this case, you weren't suing Mickey Steins, the man. You were suing the sheriff's office. And guess what happens when Mickey Steins leaves office? The new sheriff, Billy Jones, automatically takes his place as the defendant, just like swapping nameplates on a desk. That means Mickey Steins walked away clean. No accountability. No chance for being personally held responsible for what went on under his watch. Now, if they had sued him in his individual capacity, that's when it gets real. That's when the lawsuit sticks to the man himself. His name, his actions, his money, his deposition. You can't just swap him out like a busted light bulb. But they didn't do that. They wrote it in a way that guaranteed the moment Steins left office, he was free and clear. Almost like it was planned that way. You reckon? I spotted it immediately. If I spotted it, how come nobody else has? BS. BS. You're just in denial and you don't want to admit it. Because it was plain for me to see what they done. And here's the thing. Civil rights lawyers know this stuff like the back of their hands. They don't just forget to put in the words individual capacity. So you tell me, Was that sloppy lawyering, or was that protecting one of their own? Either way, the result's the same. The people of Eastern Kentucky get cheated out of the truth, and Steins got lawyered right out of the hot seat. And so has Ben Fields. And folks, this ain't just one case. This is how corruption survives in these mountains. They don't just hide behind the courthouse walls. They hide in fine print. All right. We are done. We've been on here for an hour and a half. All right, guys, we got so much more. Oh, Preacher Man. All right, let me pull this up. So I am very, very I had a ton of unsent messages. What was that about there, buddy? Let me pull this up. That's not it. Hey, baby. Now you're gonna scratch me. Here, go over. Jeez. Okay, just a second. So, Preacher Man, very, very interesting. We might ought to wait till tomorrow. You guys want to wait till tomorrow? I got the entire pardon application. We got it all. We got the letters of recommendation that were sent. We got it all, baby. So let's wait till tomorrow, because it'll take a little bit to go through it. We'll look at some other stuff here. All right. Thank you, Leslie. Hello, all hillbillies. Rochelle, thank you for your super sticker, honey. Thank you. Hillbilly Crime memberships. We love the gift memberships. I just can't tell you how tickled it makes some of our hillbillies. A lot of them are on fixed incomes and they just can't do it. So the gift memberships are a really, really big hit. Can you hear her? Oh my goodness. She just purrs up a storm. Kim Fitch, member for 2 months. Thank you, honey. Thank you. Dave became a YouTube member. Melanie gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. Thank you. And let's see. Let me run back through here and see if we can grab a couple comments. I don't know what's going on, but I keep trying to hit the like button and it swill. Just keep trying. Degrees. Oh, we already went through there, didn't we? Jeannie, wish you'd let me hit the like button. Well, maybe close out the app and then reopen it and try again. Sometimes if I've had an app open for a while, sometimes I just need to trigger it open again. Does that sometimes, yeah. And I will get on the merch. I put a couple new things up. I think we got us a Jenkins baseball cap. I put one of them up with Hillbilly Crime on the back. And over 100 of us have already forgotten the like button. I love it. I love it. And I've got I put together a whole bunch of new designs today. I just didn't have time to stick them up on the shop. So I'm going to do that right after we get off the show. I see a reality show coming. Honey, I have been saying that. I've been trying to get somebody to pitch it, but they said they don't know anything about reality shows. So I guess this is the best we got. This is the best reality show we're going to have until I get my house. And let me go ahead and say that. So I've been looking for a house for several years now, and it's just not come up. You know, the right place has not come open. One thing that I have to have enough property that I can put a small shelter, animal shelter. So I'll put a building, and we will specialize in elderly and disabled animals. And I won't be able to take a whole bunch, but I could take 50 or so. I think we could do that. Maybe not that many, but we'll take what we can. But that's part, and I'll do its own YouTube channel for the animals. But that's just one little thing. I need a place that's got about 4 bedrooms. I need an office, a big enough space for an office. We got some needs. We got some criteria we need, but God knows all about it. So if anybody knows of any kind of place for sale, something like that, we need it. Let me know. hillbillycrime@gmail.com. We want to stay in Eastern Kentucky or cross the mountain in Virginia. That's close enough. But if not, we'll go wherever the house is at. My kids would like to play football. We don't have a football team, so. All right. Thank you, Jesus, for another day, being able to come together in your name, Lord. You know all about all the needs that we each have. You know what we need. You know all about it. I just lift all of our needs up to you, Lord. I pray that you'll touch each and every single one of those needs, and that you'll just move according to your will. Because that's what's important, Lord. It's your will. Your will be done. When the earth is on fire, Lord, your word will stand. I love you, Jesus. I'm so grateful. I pray for Dr. Vonda. She had surgery, Lord. We just pray for a complete and full healing. We pray for Jenny and her mommy, just that you'll keep touching them and giving them the peace and comfort that they need to get through their grief. Anybody and everybody, Lord, out there under the sound of my voice that's struggling with something, you know all about it. You know all about it. Sometimes we just have to give it to you, take our grubby fingers off of it, and let you have it. And then sometimes after we've done all we know to do, we are just supposed to stand. Be still, stand still, and let you be God. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I love you, Jesus. I'm so thankful for your presence in my life. I'm thankful for the forgiveness that you've given me. I'm thankful for the mercy and the grace that you give me every single day. Every day that we wake up is another day covered by your grace and your mercy. And I love you. I can't tell you how much I love you, Jesus. Hallelujah, hallelujah. I pray that you forgive me for my sins. Every day I fall short, Lord. Every day I say something I shouldn't say. Every day I struggle, Lord. I struggle with resentment. I struggle with forgiveness. And I pray that you'll help me with those things. You help me every day, but I pray that you'll continue to help me. Because I am sure a work in progress. Hallelujah, Lord. Until we meet again tomorrow, we give you all praise, honor, and glory in Jesus' name, in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Oh, Miss Susan, you can do anything you want. I'm glad to be here. Well, we're glad you're here. We sure are. Karen, Facebook is a dangerous place. I got scammed there. Never will I go back to Facebook. I don't blame you, Miss Karen. I don't blame you. I do not accept friend requests or anything like that unless I know who they are. Like I have to talk to them and stuff like that. Because they'll get you so quick through them friend requests. I went to the shop. I didn't see. Now we don't have the muff diver up yet. Okay, I'm getting ready to put that up here in just a minute, Grammy. So give me just a minute after this is over, and I'm gonna go in there and put it up. This is like the Twilight Zone. I don't know, Phil. I do not know what his problem is. Never did. But I don't know. You try to be nice to people. They don't want to be your friend. They didn't have any interest in being my friend. Well, market conditions never diminish. The powerful own the paper. So there you go. Your channel's growing and his is going downhill. You're a 3 to Mountain Eagle. Believe me, that's it. Correction, a threat. Oh, okay. You're a threat to the Mountain Eagle. Well, they all act very territorial. That was the word I should have used about the photographer guy, Ernie. He just acted really territorial about photography. And I mean, like, we have an entire county. At that time, we didn't have any photographers. I had bought me a camera and I was trying to learn, and I was out there doing it. I was just learning on my own. And I remember going to a ball game in Whitesburg, and the little girl who does the photography for all the ball teams in Whitesburg, she had just bought her a camera. She hadn't even been doing it yet. Me and her both stood there and talked about our cameras. And now me and her had a great conversation down there at the football field. And I was like, oh, what did you buy? You know, and we were like talking about our equipment and stuff like that. Like, that was all I was trying to do with Ernie. That was it. I was just wanting to talk to him. I didn't know anybody else that did photography. And honey, he was just so rude and he didn't want nothing to talk to me. And still to this day, I'll see him at a ball game and he just ignores me and has never, not the first time, has he ever said hello to me or nothing. Nothing. He just acts like I don't exist. That's okay. I do my thing And I've learned how to, I didn't need his help. I didn't need his help. I didn't do photography either. I do it as a hobby, and I love doing it, and I'm good. I'm good. I'll do it if somebody asks me to, and I do it for our ball teams, and I do it for our events, but I don't do it for anybody specific, and I don't charge anybody anything for it. Whenever I do it for our kids. I do it for our community. I do it for the parents that couldn't be there. I do it for the grandparents who couldn't be there. I also do it for the families and the kids who can't afford to pay the big prices like the photographer man. There's a lot of kids and families that can't afford those big pictures, those big packages for prom or something like that, 8th grade night, homecoming. I can't tell you how many people I've done it for free. I don't charge a dime. It's a lot different. People get territorial and they're just jerks. Like our little creator circle that we've picked up here on YouTube, like there's several of us creators like Gavin and Tabiz and several of them. And we all share public documents. Like we help each other, like if somebody has a question, they just reach out to us. We're not competing against each other. We're there to help each other. That's the difference, I guess. Some people are just all about themselves and they don't care about nobody else. All right, guys. That's enough of me yakking. I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out, Girl Scout.
Can't hide from hillbilly crime. You can't hide from hillbilly crime. You may not know that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask the cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no